All right, I didn't do the git thing, so I'm going to do it in real time here. So git status, git add, git commit, add foundation for projects, something like that. Cool. So in this one, we're going to do a comments. We're going to add comments to projects, and the way that's going to work is not traditionally how you'd expect, but also one that's a reusable pattern. So you could add this to another, not just project, but like say, I don't know, a blog post or something if this app were to have something similar. So what we'll do is create a polymorphic association with that in mind. This is going to be a little advanced, but nothing too crazy. The project model is going to have a commentable type and a commentable ID. And in the background, Rails and Active Record will kind of know what to do with it based on the associations we come about. So what I'm going to do first is generate a model comment, and we'll call a commentable type is a string, commentable ID is an integer, and the bool part is a common convention. It's kind of an action that's performable on a model or a resource, so you think of it in that. It's quite modular. We'll do that same user references on comments, if I could spell, and we'll just give it the basic body, the comment body of a text field. So that you could also use active storage for that if you wanted. I'm not going to though. So we'll run this command. And within it, we can check out the actual recent migration. So it does this kind of thing. And I think by default, that's fine. I'll quickly confirm. It looks good to me. So let's say Rails db migrate. What? Those errors, man. Depreciation warnings. Icky. Okay, so now we need the logic and the model to make this happen. And we'll go first into the comment model and say it already belongs to a user thanks to that user references we just passed, but we also want to say it belongs to commentable, and then polymorphic true. So in our project model, we'll have has many comments as commentable. Right on. And that pretty much sets it up. And we'll go and add next the controller. So our actual comments controller can be fairly plain Jane. We can generate the controller on the command line just for fun. So Rails generate controller comments, and I just want to create action to start with, so I'll pass that. And okay, create some views. We'll get rid of that one, but some tests and other junk you probably don't need. But let's go to that controller. And the way this will work first is I want to create another comments controller that's scoped to projects. That will find the commentable type. And the commentable pattern means that the thing that's commentable is the project in our case. So notice we set that as the thing you can comment on. So we can make that a thing by querying for it in a new controller. So what I'll actually do is create another controller that's called projects comments as just a place to store this based on the scope of the project. You'll see what I mean in a second. So I'm going to create this, and you can do that /. It'll actually create a new directory in our controllers called projects. Within it creates the comments controller. So that's a nice little pattern. So here's our controllers directory. Inside its projects, inside that's comments. And this is how that class structure works, inherits from these subclasses. So all we need to do in this one is actually just set the commentable type. And we'll do that by querying for it. And the way that works is setting a private method. So we'll say private, and we can set a before callback, before action callback. That's going to say set commentable. which means set the thing I want to comment on. I need to find that. And then you can just do a def set commentable. And if you're not sure what private methods are in Ruby, it's essentially a way to bury logic within the class that's only relative to this class. You can't access it outside of it, so you'd only be able to access it within it. So this method will essentially say commentable and look for the project itself. So project will find by the params project ID. So we'll say find params. That's how that looks. And what this is doing is finding it by the request. And the way that will work is based on our routing. So we'll find the project ID, which if you didn't notice is going to be based on the commentable ID in this case. So it's a little confusing, but that's what's going down. If we could look in the schema in our comments, we could see there's the commentable type, the commentable ID. When we added the references, basically our projects, we don't have anything on the projects table, but this commentable type and ID based on the polymorphic association will know to look for the project ID as a result. So it's kind of a nice convention that Rails just handles a lot for you, and it's super nice. So inside our comments controller, we actually need to do a bit more. This is the root comments controller in our controllers folder. So inside the create action, we'll actually first need to authenticate the user completely. We don't want them to come to this. We don't want to comment from unauthenticated users. So you could just pass that alone. Then the create method will have the comment, which we'll set up by getting the commentable instance variable we set in this one. So this will come back through. Since this inherits, we can actually access it. So that's kind of a nice thing. And then we can just say that so this will essentially be a project. So commentable refers to the project and mention, since we're grabbing that project ID. So we'll get the comments new, and then we can pass in the comment params, and you can put parentheses here if you want. Might make sense. And then the comment user we can set to the current user, just like so. And then we can say comment.save, and then once it does, we can redirect back to the project in this case and say, man, I can't type. Notice your comment was successfully posted. So that'll flash a banner at the top of the screen thanks to our notices in our application layout file. And that came with my project template. So this is how that works. So we're initializing the new comment, which will need this in our views, and then it's going to pull from the project, find the comments on the project based on the association, render a new, and then pass in the parameters we're going to go through. And then we still need to define what those are, so I'll do that in a second. It's also going to set the current user of the comment, so the user ID, this is a shorthand for doing that. You can just do it on the object level, and then save the comment and redirect. So we'll need to define that params, so we'll just say comment params. And then within that we'll say params.require comment, and then just permit body, which is the only real column we're actually using in this case, to store the actual content of the comment. So that's a mouthful, but what I want to do now is kind of clean up the show view a bit. We'll start with just a work in progress example just to get it in working order, and then extend it later. So let's go to our projects. We're going to render the comments within the projects, and honestly we can remove the folder in here. We don't need it, so I probably will do that. We're going to render everything from the actual comments folder, so I'll delete this. And then I deleted the create action inside this one, so I don't need this file at all. Alright, we will add a few files there, so I'll call those comments.html erb, and then form, just basically the form to create the comment. These will be rendered in our show view on the projects page since we want to render comments on that page. So let's start first by just a clean slate of the page itself. This will be in the show view. Start with the container, do some Tailwind sorcery here. Relative P6 MX auto. Basic container to set that up, and that will have a flex container. I need to like make that a text expander thing because I write that so much. I have other series on Tailwind if you're curious. I'm not going to go through this feel of how all this works, but once you get good with it, it just becomes as fluid as writing CSS in my opinion. So it may seem like I'm just whizzing through this, and honestly I am because I'm referring to stuff, but I would normally probably do something this fast if I knew exactly how it would lay out a page or something, or what I was going for anyway. Gray 200. This will be the title, so we'll say class text 3XL, font bold, leading none, text gray 800, and we'll pass in the product title. Okay, and then on the bit below, we'll just say kind of smaller text, who is created by. So a nice thing in Ruby is you can just do if something doesn't exist. So sometimes people don't want a name. I don't require them to have a name in this app. We could just say or app project .user.username. So maybe they set one or the other. Hopefully they set one, but it's all good for this specific use case. And then we could say, for now, I'm not going to use this in practice, but actually I'm just going to leave it out, I think. No, I'll put it in. So I'll just say unless author of project. This was before I was thinking in terms of subscriptions. This is just a basic button as a placeholder. We'll just say back this idea. Make it a huge one, button large. With auto, those button classes are ones I made, so it's not part of Tailwind if you're wondering, but it is components I created with Tailwind. Okay, so there's that. That's all within this area. We can go check out if that makes any sense so far. Boot up the server. Okay, and refresh the page. You can go view this one. Something's up. Let's see what, unless author of, oh, we don't want to output that. And then back this idea, I need a comma after the hash. There we go. So that's the initial look and feel, nothing too fancy. Below those lines though, we need to add few blocks of basically analytic data. So under the unless statement, we'll have with full, large with 1/5. I think I created this 3 times. inside each we'll have a little bit of different stuff. So P at class. So we're going to have a pledged amount. We don't have this yet. So we'll comment that out and just put like 100 or 1,000. We'll fix that up. That's probably going to be called something different too. That's not really what I wanted. But then we'll have below that, we'll have another class. There's a nice built-in helper method for currencies in Rails. The default's USD, I think. Probably have to set it up to be a different language for your own country. Then in the next column we'll have, this is how that will look if I can type. Something like that. Yeah, that's why it looked weird. There we go. So yeah, we'll just throw a $sign there for now. Below that we'll have the backer amount. So kind of just steal these class names and just put in different code. This one will be a little bit different. Just put 0 for now, or 200, whatever. And then same with this last one. Just copy this whole bit. And we'll say like 20 days to go. Cool. So that'll give us some analytics across the board. Pretty generic, but it does the trick. Then within that, we'll have the comments themselves. So we'll have a flex wrap, item start, justify between. I'm using emit here. So when you kind of dot notate like that, it'll auto complete when you hit tab. Within that, we'll have offset column that's going to be width full on mobile, but otherwise width 3/5. So this would be where I would render the feature image. So we could just say if this will be actually be else. We could just do like a default. So if you don't have an image, it's okay. We can render something for you, make it look all fancy. So flex, item center, justify center, P8. I made it all with CSS instead of an actual other image. Okay. There's our title. If there is one that looks way off, so this should be with full. There we go. And probably needs some margin. This wrong. That's going to end that one. There we go. And then we have below that will be this description. I'm just trying to get this scaffolded. Once this is done, this will be less boring. Whole nother section here. Lost my place. Large will be width to fifths, and on top 0. Within that, we just put product description, but we'll do a little bit more. So we'll have margin bottom 6, encapsulating everything. Inside that, we'll have a p tag. It's not p dot text small, font semi bold, text gray 500, and then uppercase description. Okay. And that'll go to the right, I hope. I don't have the right bit. Product description. There we go. It's over on the right. Maybe we can make this full width and everything. I'm just going to leave it for now. And then below the description, we'll have another width full, and then actually we won't do it there. I'll put the comments and stuff up here right after this end. So we'll do a bit of 6 margin there, and then we can render comments. So the actual comment feed, and then the commentable part will be the product, of course, and we'll use this commentable variable in these partials coming up. So render, same thing. So commentable project. All right. And there's definitely some more logic that we can add. I'm going to actually copy it from the old project because it's just the edit author of kind of stuff. I'll actually just add it below. If admin, we'll just say if the admin or author of project. Man, there we go. So inside here we can render like edit, and I'll just float these. Sorry it's taking so long. So we'll do link to edit project path. Just need the project to pass through, and then class be button small, button outlined, button default. I'm trying to go fast and I can't type as a result. Okay, so that's that one. Then we'll just basically do the same almost for delete. It's going to be a little different though. Delete. It's going to just go project path, and then the method will be delete. Then we could do a data confirm. It's part of Rails UJS. Are you sure? Comma there. Cool, I think that should do it for now. And looks like I have something off. Let's see, syntax error, comma after this and this. There we go. I don't see the buttons. I'm not an admin, but they are right. Actually, there they are. We need something relative here. I think I just have the div not closing in the right spot. There we go. They're not outlined though. That's interesting. There. So we can go edit it now. Sweet. All right, that's essentially what I wanted to render. Obviously, we're not rendering the comments yet because there's nothing in those partials. So let's get to that bit. We'll go to the comments feed first, and all we need to do here is just kind of pass in a comments label, say and then we could just pass in for that commentable object comments.each do, and then just say comment. Each comment will render the comment body, and that's pretty much it for that one. The form is another story, so let's do comment for, it'll be form for, and then we could pass in an array of objects, which is, we need the commentable. This will build the route we need to, on the action, and then just comment.new. And I could show you that in the console or the source. And then we'll loop through each field to present the, actually we just need one field, is the comment body. So I'll do, I added these classes, so don't think they're part of Tailwind. Placeholder, and that's in the CSS we added earlier. Comment, and then required true, just a poor man's required statement there. And then f.submit will be a submit button, which you can pass a class button default. All right, that should render. And let's see if we have anything wrong here. Commentable project comments path, project path. Yeah. While I'm at it, I missed a bit here, so I'm gonna just do my4 for each comment. Within that div, we'll have a p of 4, just some padding, letting normal, border, rounded, and then shadow, all the defaults there. The comment body will be within that, but also a div strong tags, which will be the user, so comment.user.name. Assuming they have one, you could just do comment user.username otherwise, and we'll have a little colon there, and that should be good. So I'm blanking on why the form is kind of wonking on me. Comment.new, is it something here? Oh, I don't have a new action here. Oh, you know what? I don't have the routing set up, I think. Let's go and set that up now. We need to make that module a thing. So if you remember, in the way this is scoped inside of projects, we have no way to tell our routing that yet. So what that looks like is this. So we'll go to config. Inside our projects, we can actually nest the comments to be within, so it's like embedded in such a way, even though it doesn't make a huge difference. Resources, comments, and then we just say module projects. And that initializes that to have that scope in that controller. So it's probably a good idea to restart your server. Let's see if that works. It did, yay. Okay, so here's our comments. Now if we do a test comment, create, okay, create cannot found, got it. So that's normal. What we need to do though is render that comment in such a way that it persists. And we'll do that coming up. All right, so in our projects comments controller, in our controllers, you notice it's nested. We're inheriting from the application controller, and this threw me for a loop. Obviously, when you generate this, it doesn't know you're inheriting from another controller, so you actually need to change that. So this actually needs to be comments controller for that other controller to know about the set commentable method. So all we need to do is change that. And if you were to try to create a comment before, you'd get something like this. So I'm going to go back, make a test comment, and it looks like I spelt it wrong, as I always do. So let's go and try that one more time. Again, spelled something wrong. So let's do that again. Require. Go back one more time. There we go. So now our comment is created. I said this was Ajax earlier. It's not, but it would be simple to make that if you wanted to. I won't go into how to do that because it's not part of this tutorial. That I don't think is necessary. But definitely check that out in other tutorials or my course. If you check that out, we do it heavily in that one. So there, our comments are done. That's the main gist I wanted to get through of that part of the app. I figured it was a good additive. It doesn't really necessarily relate to the marketplace, I know, but I want to build things thorough as much as we can to give you a real world experience. So next up, we'll extend projects a bit further and add some more data around those analytics we added earlier, and then also set up some jobs that automatically expire a project dynamically. You notice we have 20 days to go. What if we set up a project to expire, say 30 days by default? So no matter what, it expires. We could do that with background jobs, and we'll do that next. Hello Rails is my new course on Ruby on Rails. I'll teach you Ruby on Rails from the ground up. Visit hellorails.io for more information.